Over 5,000 people made appointments to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine just hours after the online system was up and running on Sunday. Principal Medical Officer of Institutions, Dr. Maryam Abdool-Richards, says the majority of appointments were made via the online portal ttvaccine.com. The online appointment system and hotline went into effect on Sunday morning, and Dr. Richards says the ministry is pleased with the overwhelming response. The appointment system for the AstraZeneca vaccines was announced by the Ministry of Health on Saturday after receiving 82,500 doses of that vaccine earlier in the week.
Level of vaccine acceptance and a high volume of calls, which suggest that persons are very interested in obtaining the AstraZeneca vaccine. As of 3 p.m. yesterday, there were 5,400 appointments that were made, 4,600 online and 762 at the call centers. This response is again quite heartening given the Ministry of Health's targets for vaccinations.
The announcement of an increased uptake of vaccines comes just a few days after Health Minister Terrence Deyalsingh announced that the daily rate of vaccinations had dropped significantly when compared to July. He indicated on Saturday that this country should have already reached the 500,000 mark of first-dose vaccinations, but had only reached 415,000 at that time. At least 600 jabs of first-dose AstraZeneca vaccines were administered at the mass vaccination site at the National Academy for Performing Arts, NAPA, on Monday. When TTT News visited NAPA, there was a steady stream of people lining up and waiting to receive the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, while some returned for the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine. Chief Operating Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce, Michelle Gonzalez-Sweet, told TTT News, altogether on Monday, at least 1,200 jabs were administered.
We are pretty much balanced with about an average of 600 as of now of AstraZeneca first dose coming through, and we have an average of 600 of our second dose coming through as well as of now.
Ms. Gonzalez-Sweet said there was a noticeable drop-off of people registering at NAPA last week as compared to the numbers seen on the first day of the AstraZeneca jab.
There is room to believe that there is some people who have been holding out for a different vaccine other than the Sinopharm. But as we all say, and the medical system says, and science says, it's the best vaccine is the one you have.
One person who we spoke to conferred said she was a bit hesitant about taking the vaccine that was previously being offered.
Yes, I was waiting on this particular dose because I'm a little skeptical about the Sinopharm. I was not interested in it. So I waited, and now that the AstraZeneca is here, I said, well, I'll get my first jab today.
There were also reports of long lines at the mass vaccination site at the UTT campus in Chaguanas and the Racket Center in Tacarigua, which also began administering AstraZeneca first doses on Monday. The Ministry of Health is urging people who received a first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine not to take their second dose as the AstraZeneca. Speaking during the Ministry of Health's update on COVID-19, Principal Medical Officer Dr. Maryam Abdool-Richards reminds that this country has approved mixed doses of the vaccines to be considered a fully vaccinated person. She says the first dose Sinopharm and the second dose AstraZeneca has not been approved by the World Health Organization and advised against this practice.
We, of course, prioritize the safety of our population, and so the CMO would have, and the Ministry of Health would have indicated the relevant policies for the mixing of vaccines. Again, the Ministry of Health does keep records, so we would be able to identify if there is some falsification or false identification with respect to vaccines.
On July 30, the WHO approved the vaccination combination of AstraZeneca and Moderna. This came more than a month after it approved AstraZeneca and Pfizer as an approved mix of vaccines.